What are you?
I serve Khonshu. I'm his avatar.
And I'm Danny Rand, the immortal Iron Fist. Moon Knight Episode 2, Summon the Suit. Right before I immediately spoil the double meaning of that title, I'm going to mention that if you haven't seen my thoughts on the previous episode, this is all spoiler territory. Get it? Got it? Good. Mr. Knight. Summon the suit, more like summon the swave. This episode didn't have much other than some breadcrumbs of exposition, but I was waiting for the Mr. Knight suit. A little disappointed that it was Steven in full control, and not a dedicated Mr. Knight alter taking over, because it makes Mr. Knight look like a goofball. And this, where'd his mask go? Mr. Knight in the comics was the identity Mark created so that he could consult with the police, and not get arrested. Basically, Mr. Knight was the Sherlock of Mark's double life, also chats with Mark's therapist. But Mr. Knight is no joke. He's like a businessman. He'll keep his integrity, even when he bashes the fuck out of you. There's an issue in Warren Ellis' run on Moon Knight where, it's Mr. Knight, for the entire issue, brutalizing a bunch of thugs like some Tower of Death, reverse stairwell Daredevil Season 2 fight scene. It's pretty amazing. If there were only 2 issues you could read to get the full scope of Mr. Knight, it'd be Warren Ellis issue 1 and issue 5, done. Maybe we'll get something like that if Mark ever summons the Mr. Knight suit. If we ever see the Mr. Knight suit again, because this seemed like a total accident. It's still a bum-ass outfit though. Speaking of ass, America's ass, meet Moon's ass. Okay, that was my highlight of the episode. The rest is still a slow burn, like the previous episode. I won't lie, but I halfway expected this episode to open the way it did. You know how Moon Knight walked out of the bathroom, ready to take a deuce on crime into the next episode? Yeah, nah, it's just Steven remembering he forgot to use the toilet. It felt like a little bit of a honeypot ending, but I forgive it. You know, it's very convenient that this jackal that nearly killed Steven is apparently invisible. It seems only avatars can see them. It reminds me of hellhounds from Supernatural, and how damned souls could see them coming. But yeah, totally convenient in order to make Steven lose his job. Layla's introduction certainly throws another pile of questions on top of the already large pile from last episode. Apparently she and Mark are married. That's interesting. I said before how I thought she might have been a replacement to Mark's mercenary buddy she and Paul Duchan. I also thought it was possible that she could be a replacement to Mark's comic book love interest, Marlene Alron. Marlene is Mark's longest running relationship, even maybe being married once or twice, and having a kid together. Marlene is awesome. Has her Karen moments, but mostly awesome. I'll go over Marlene's backstory more if Layla seems similar, but so far it seems like Layla is the MCU counterpart to Marlene. However, Layla being eyed as Khonshu's next avatar is totally new. Khonshu apparently trades out avatars like friggin' Pokemon cards. Arthur, Mark, now Layla. Khonshu's picks for avatars wasn't that sporadic in the comics. Sure, there'd be some worshippers and maybe some adjacent avatars, but there wasn't a singular avatar to be rotated out. This almost makes Khonshu's Moon Knight role kind of like Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Why Khonshu chose Arthur to be his avatar? I don't have a clue. Mark was mostly chosen in the comics because he was a top-tier mercenary who died at Khonshu's feet. At least that's the simplified version. Why Khonshu would choose Layla, I don't know. Khonshu's fickle employment is confusing for sure, because Mark is probably the best candidate to beat up bad guys in the name of vengeance. Maybe picking Layla is some kind of scare tactic to make Mark cooperate. I don't know. 2 episodes in, and I have more itches on my head than a third grader with lice. It seems the most transparent character has been Arthur Harrow, during the little debate he and Stephen had about divine ethics. Assuming Harrow isn't lying, then he was Khonshu's previous fist of vengeance. Probably isn't lying, because he seems to know Khonshu's personality very well.
I am real justice.
And I don't think he communicates with Emmett. His church cult does his bidding, and I can't tell if it's typical cult following, or some mental influence with his Emmett abilities. They just seem to know what he wants with barely even a word. Like playing a little ball while in his glass slippers. I think it's funny how Arthur was asking Stephen if he could speak with Mark, and both Mark and Khonshu are demanding Stephen let them kill Arthur. I'd love to see how the conversation between Mark and Arthur would go. But speaking of Mark, we finally get to see him front. It's at the closing of the episode, but I'll take it, because it's setting up for a Mark Spector adventure in Egypt. Mark seems to be aware of the quote-unquote rules of his condition. I don't just mean his deal with Khonshu, but how he operates with Stephen. Something is different, and how Mark's alters manifest isn't so clear to him anymore. And yes, I say alters plural, because apparently Stephen isn't the first. Layla sourly mentions that Stephen is just another personality Mark has created.
Is Stephen the latest fake identity for you?
So it's possible there's more. But there's usually been a wall separating Mark from his alters. What that means, I don't know. I guess they don't normally bleed into each other's lives? But Mark and Stephen are able to communicate, and Stephen is also able to experience how Mark's personality has been present the past couple episodes. The exchange is kinda dark. The mirror Stephen is reflected on is cracked in a way that resembles prison bars. Might also allude to Mark's fractured mentality. But Stephen is trapped, and he's not a fan. Going so far as to vent his frustrations of Mark ruining Stephen's life. His fish, his job, his social life. And while Khonshu called Stephen a parasite, Stephen calls Mark a parasite. Stephen just goes all out on Mark, because Mark has a trail of death and destruction following him. More of Oscar Isaac's acting is elevated, because it just seems like Mark is really hurt by all of this. In the comics, Mark Spector has a lot of self-hatred because of his deeds as a mercenary, and it seems preserved in this show. But he is also a dark and violent man.
Steven, shut up! I promise.
So it's pretty complicated. I'm hoping episode 3 gives a little more about that. Oh, and Moon Knight. No, I mean I want to talk about Moon Knight in this episode. Short and sweet. Nice to finally see some action from him. That chase scene was pretty well shot. Although I thought Mark said Road Runner after Stephen made that coyote joke.
You plug ugly coyote. Gotcha!
And the cinematography. God, I'm wet. And that synchronicity between Mark and Stephen in the window is great. Though this bit in the storage place. I swear to God that's not edited. It seems Mark has full control over that transformation. Just Stephen doesn't. Even Layla has seen Mark use the armor in the past. I'm really not sure what Mark being Moon Knight is leading up to. Like the end goal. If Layla hasn't seen Mark in months, but has seen him as Moon Knight before, then Mark has been operating as Moon Knight for months. Why? What's going on? Does Mark disappearing to London have anything to do with keeping Layla off Khonshu's radar? If Khonshu legitimately wants Layla as his avatar, then what does he see in her? How does Layla not know about Mark's condition? Are they one of those Vegas couples? Does Steven constantly calling his mom reflect on how Mark and his mom don't talk anymore? If Mark summoning the
ceremonial armor from Conchu's temple
makes it look like that, then what is the suit that Steven summons? Is this like the modern-day armor of the Moon Knight? Why is it three-piece luxury wear? If the Moon Knight vestment can change based on the perception of the avatar, then what does that mean? Why does Mark's get-up look like a mummy Batman and not some GI Pharaoh? What the f*** makes sense anymore? God damn it, more questions. I have a couple theories, but I don't want to follow them. I just want to experience the show, preferably sooner than once a week. I didn't catch many Easter eggs in this episode. Besides this bus having WBN0032 on it, which is definitely a reference to Werewolf by Night issue 32, Moon Knight's first appearance. In fact, this bus is the only Easter egg / reference I managed to see, including the GRC sign on it, which references the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Also double references Moon Knight himself with the reuniting you with your better half line. Cheeky. Either there weren't many, or I missed a load of Easter eggs. Like this massive one from the last episode. Apparently, this gold member motherfucker is actually Bertrand Crawley himself. Crawley is a hefty Moon Knight character from classic lore. Crawley is this homeless guy with a moldy teabag and frivolous vocabulary. He was employed by billionaire Mark Spector to act as an informant, telling him what goes on in the criminal underworld. That kind of makes the dynamic in the previous episode a lot more interesting, because Steven chats up Crawley when he's lonely. In a way, Steven pays Crawley for conversation. One-sided conversation, but still conversation. Just like in the comics. By the way, Crawley is fired from the statue game because Steven made him flinch. Other than Moon Knight's classic truncheons making an appearance, I don't have much else to take from this episode. Another week I have to wait until a slow drip of answers come up. 2 episodes. Slow burn, but good production. Needs to stay aware that it only has 6 episodes, and not make one of those episodes an exposition dump. Unless it's a creative exposition dump.
I'm bleeding!
Tell me what Easter eggs I missed, because I'm sure I missed 90% of them. Most of the Easter egg videos I've found have been less Easter egg, and more here's this thing I think means this theory I have, thus I know the whole plot tinfoil hat bullshit. I'm going to meditate for a week until the next episode. Holy f***. Bobby and Billy.